out in Detroit.
Yep. D-Town. 313. What up, though? Started in Detroit and came here to Virginia. Well, in Ohio. I did a stint in Ohio with my family. And then I came to Virginia and walked my sister down the aisle in 05. And
You been here ever since?
Been here ever since. Yeah. I was going to say something, but I'll keep that to myself. But yeah, 05, walked her down the aisle, gave her away. Here, man, take her. So, and then started driving, trucking company. And then my real background is actually in IT. You know, I'm an IT person, coding, front end, well, actually full stack web development, coding, JavaScript, C++, C#, all that stuff.
So how does a computer guy end up in a truck?
Because the computer jobs at the time wasn't paying. That's how a computer guy ends up in the truck. You know, it was basically a law of numbers. You know, the bills outweighed the revenue that was coming in at the time, so I had to compensate for that. So, yeah. So I got into more of a laborious kind of thing. I was getting more hours, so more money, taxed more, of course. You know, Uncle Sugar got to have his hands and everything. But at any rate, drove box trucks for a number of years. Did manual labor, deliveries. Got introduced to dispatching, freight brokering, and trucking while I was working at the company that I worked for, Crossfire Logistics, Carroll Trucking here in Norfolk, Virginia. And became that lead driver. But realized that it's not for me, right? I don't... you ever had an innate feeling that you should be doing better in life, right? So that's what I had, an innate feeling that I should be doing better in life, that I should be able to control my own destiny. And the main thing I wanted back, which I was giving away 8 hours a day, which is my time freedom. So I was very unsatisfied with that. I want to have my own freedom to give my time back for myself, for my wife. At the time, my girlfriend. I've been with her for 15 years. Tasha.
Shout out to Miss Tasha.
Shout out to Miss Tasha. She'll be here later on. She said she'll come down later on. So, Exodus is a transition. It's a spiritual reason and a mental reason too. Because so the spiritual reason, because I'm a spiritual person. So Exodus, that's the obvious one in the Bible, stuff like that, right? But the mental one is I wanted to make a mental transition from a state of being an employee to being an owner or an entrepreneur or an employer. So it was a shift, an exodus from one mentality to another mentality. So that was 50% of the reason why the term exodus. And it was, of course, from a marketing standpoint, people will gravitate towards the word, So
we leading people out of poverty. What's dispatch your life like? I mean, real talk. Like, what do you do?
Well, depending on how many trucks you're dispatching, right? So if you're just starting and you just got your first one carrier,
okay,
it's a little, you're nervous, right? Because you want to satisfy that carrier, you want to meet the carrier's profile, all the requirements that they want to have in order to move the freight consistently for them, right? Mm-hmm. And once you learn that process and master it, now you create what's called a system. And every truck you bring on, you want to do the exact same thing, depending on the equipment type of that truck.
So really, you start making more money the longer you do it.
Correct. The longer you do it and the more trucks you take on, the more assets, as they call it, the more trucks you take on. So I train beginning students in dispatching to dispatch the 3 equipment types that are the easiest ones to dispatch for. Okay. Those are the 53-foot, and we're probably going to see some on the interstate. And I always tell them that if you go out on any major interstate, you can throw a rock and you're going to hit one of those at least. So the 53-foot dry van, the 53-foot refrigerated trailer, what we call reefer, and then the 48 or 53-foot flatbeds. And why do I tell them that? It's because they're out here on the roads the most. Okay. You can find loads or freight or cargo or commodities for them the easiest, and they pay the better rates.
Okay.
So and it's an easiest entry point. Now there are other specialized equipment types for you, but
So literally, when you're sitting on the highway, you might see 2 or 3 trucks that are actually trucks that you dispatched.
Correct. Potentially, yeah. Yeah, because you want to start, when you dispatch, you want to start off local, of course, but you're not limited to dispatching only in your area. You can dispatch for any carrier all over the country. Any dispatcher, like, I mean, we're in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, actually, but you can have a carrier who's based in California and you're dispatching for them, because when you're on the load board, the freight's all over the country. So you're not limited to your specific state. And I get questions about that all the time. Well, since I live in Texas, can I only dispatch for carriers in Texas? Of course not. You know, does freight only move in Texas? No, it goes from Texas, outside of Texas, and then into Texas. So outbound and inbound freight. So you can move freight all over, or commodities or goods, things like that. So yeah, you're not limited to the state that you reside. So
what if I wanted to do like box trucks or Sprinter vans or any of that kind of stuff?
You can. I tell people you can, but I stress to start off with the 3 major equipment types: the dry van, flatbed, and reefers. You can do box trucks, Sprinter vans, and cargo vans, which are the specialty equipment types, right? Those are the specialized equipment types. So I stress to the students that you can start off with those, but you're going to have a challenge finding freight for them, right? So here's the paradox I always tell the students. It's easy to find loads for the major semi type of equipment types, the dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. It's harder, it's a challenge to get carriers who drive those types of equipment types. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, it's easy to get carriers who drive the specialty equipment types, the box trucks, cargo vans, Sprinter vans, but it's harder to find the loads for. So there's the paradox. So which angle would you want to come in at? Would you rather have easy to find loads and have a little bit of challenge getting those carriers to run those loads? Or would you rather have easy type carriers to get, but you're going to have a challenge getting the load, so you're not making money?